Hello friends, it's Daryl. And we got a little sad update video for you today. I just found out that Jimmy Carter has passed away. I'm sure most of you have probably heard that by now. At the age of 100. The longest living of any president we've ever had. And in my personal opinion, probably the most honorable and most decent human being that's ever had a job. He was a good man. People look back at what they consider his failures, and sure, he had a few. He had some problems to deal with, but I learned a long time ago that presidents are rarely responsible for economic or international crises that happen during their administration. You know, they're just there as a caretaker for their 4 or 8 years. The whole history that came behind and after them affects how they're viewed and what happened during their term. And it's easy to forget that a lot of things that happened during his term weren't his fault. You look back at the Great Depression back in 1929, that wasn't Herbert Hoover's fault. That was the fault of big banks and corporate greed. You look at him and some of the stories he told, and he always had his family with him. He had a lovely family, and when he was more popular once he left office than he was in office, which is kind of sad, but it's understandable because he certainly did get out and do a lot of really good stuff when he left office. People made fun of him. Well, the people always make fun of presidents. So they made fun of Jerry Ford for falling down a few times, and he was a star athlete, for goodness sakes. They made fun of Jimmy Carter for talking about the rabbit that swam out to his boat and he had to fight it off with a paddle. One time he admitted that he had lust in his heart from time to time, and people made fun of him for that. But he was a good Christian man who loved his wife. And I can't remember ever hearing even a rumor of scandal in his personal life. People blamed him for the Iran hostage crisis, too. The real cause of the Iranian crisis was the United States government. It was our fault. We supported the Shah, who was our friend and benefactor in the area, and even when he started to invoke his secret police and do nasty things to the people of his country, we kept supporting him. And of course the people in the country came to hate us for it. What else were they to do? President Carter's hometown was a small town in Georgia called Plains, Georgia. He grew up there on a farm and worked with the land. He was a man of the land and the people, a farmer. He went to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering and science. He served in the submarine corps during World War II and received several commendations. He worked with nuclear submarines and then returned to his home in Plains, Georgia, becoming involved in local politics as a state senator, then a governor, before being elected in 1976 to serve as our president. One of his first official acts as president was to try and heal the wounds of the nation over the Vietnam War by granting a full pardon to all of the draft evaders, people who had failed to register, people who had went to Canada, as well as looking into a plan to pardon deserters too. He was by no means anti-military and was involved in veterans groups throughout his whole life. One of his most surprising and biggest accomplishments was brokering a peace deal between the country of Israel and Egypt. Here he is with Anwar Sadat of Egypt and Menachem Begin of Israel. And this was just quite an unlikely treaty that he passed through. It was groundbreaking at the time, and it ended up causing Sadat Hussein's death a few years later in an assassination. He liked speaking directly to the people in a Mr. Rogers-style sweater with a fireside chat from the White House. He didn't always tell people what they wanted to hear. He told them what he thought they needed to hear, and people didn't like that either, particularly. After leaving office, he continued to be involved in public affairs through charitable organizations such as building homes with Habitat Humanity and supporting civil rights initiatives. He stayed out of politics and rarely commented on anything political. And now he's gone at the age of 100. Looking back, I think he'll be remembered as one of the better presidents we've ever had, and certainly one of the best human beings ever to be president. Thanks for watching.